All right, what is up, my Moto Sodders? Today, we're gonna chat for a little bit. I have a list of questions here. Happy to answer anything else you all want answered. But the first question that I have is, who the heck even is MotoSaad? Well, I'm me. Hi, my name's Saad. I ride a motorcycle, and so my name is MotoSaad. that is who is MotoSaad. The way I got into riding actually was my interest for riding started just about almost like over 10 years ago. So I'm 25 now, and my interest for riding actually started when I was about 13. And the person who really got me into motorcycles was Chase on two wheels. And there was this video of Chase doing 148 on the highway on his R6. And that was my first introduction to motorcycles. And I was like, this is pretty dang cool. And I was 13. And so, yeah, so the way I got into motorcycles was because of Chase on two wheels. And then I basically started watching moto vlogs from people like Jake the Garden Snake, Chase on two wheels, Ms. Shift, and I Am Ramekin, and a lot of people who aren't really around anymore in terms of the motorcycle industry, but the motovlog industry. But those are the people who really got me into bikes. And so this bike right here, this nice bike right here, is this is my third bike. And so this is a Royal Enfield GT650 Continental, and it's pretty dang cool. This is my third bike. And so when I turned 16, I went and bought a motorcycle for $800, which was, mistake or not, that motorcycle that I bought, mistake or not, it was a 1980 KZ440 that I got for $800, and that thing barely ever ran. And that was my first introduction to motorcycles. And so then after that KZ440, I learned that I really do not like carburetors. And we can go back to the carburetor topic later, because I know it's a controversial topic, but you all deserve to know the truth. So we'll get into that later. So that first bike, that KZ440, tried to get it to run, could not get that thing to run properly. And then from there, my second bike was a Suzuki SV650S from 2007. And that bike was, I guess my first real introduction to motorcycles. And then that was when I was around 20 years old. For context, I'm 25 now. And then I had that SV650S for a few years, but then I basically had to get rid of it because I moved out of my parents' house. I didn't have access to a garage anymore, and life just kind of happened. And now, so then when I got rid of that bike, I was out of riding for a few years, and I was like, you know what, man, it's time for me to get back into motorcycles, because at the end of the day, there's not a lot of kind of items that bring me joy as much as riding a motorcycle. So when I started looking, I saw that Royal Enfields, they are really underrated in the United States. In South Asia and the UK, I believe, Royal Enfield is a pretty dang popular bike. But since Royal Enfield is not a very popular bike outside of South Asia, I got this bike for $3,000. So I got this 2021. This is a 2021 Royal Enfield GT650. I got it with around 8,000 miles, and I got it for $3,000 because the guy was just trying to sell it. He had a Gixxer, and he was like, dude, I can't sell this bike. Nobody wants this Royal Enfield. And I was like, all right, I'll take it. So I got it for $3,000, and thus far, it's been a pretty damn good experience. And so that's a quick, brief little history of my motorcycle journey and how I ended up with this bike right here. And now, I have some other questions. So why have I started MotoSaad? Why have I started MotoSaad? Why do I even do this? I should just go ride my motorcycle and just live my life on my own. Well, my day job, what I do for a living, is I work in finance. And, you know, sometimes, most times, finance isn't really the place you go for being your most creative self. And I feel like there's a lot of my personality that's, you know, if I just focused only on my career in finance, a lot of my personality would be left on the table and maybe even compromised, big picture. And so I decided to start making moto vlogs really to get my most creative self out there and really just to have an outlet to be myself, be my most authentic self. And hey, if there's an audience for that, that's awesome. And hey, if not, well, I'm gonna keep posting. So yeah. And you know, in regards to MotoSaad, I find, you know, it's pretty motivating or exciting to know that you're building something that could theoretically last forever. You know, human beings have had this desire or goal to live forever. And you know, people do all kinds of weird stuff to live forever. But the one thing that does live forever, or seemingly almost forever, is companies. Because companies spend millions and billions and arguably trillions of dollars in branding, making a name that sticks. And so from there, if I do MotoSaad correctly, then I might just be able to have something that lives longer than myself. And I don't know if there's anything more potentially fulfilling than that. Maybe kids. I don't know. I don't have any kids. Not yet, at least, if ever. Not too sure if I will. But I'm sure somebody who has kids would be like, yo, no, yeah, the most fulfilling thing is having kids, which you might be right. I don't have any kids, so I can't really speak to that just yet, at least. And so building MotoSaad, here, I'll show you guys something. I'll show you guys something. So I made, you know, MotoSaad is a very brand new thing that I'm doing. I'm still figuring out what kind of content to make. I don't know what to do, but you know, I wear a lot of hats just because helmet hair be crazy, and my hair is kind of a little long. And so, you know, I was like, you know what, bro, I'm gonna just make my own hat. And so then I made this this MotoSaad hat, and you know, I'm not selling it or anything. But the thing is that as I wear this MotoSaad hat, I feel as though I'm a part of something that's, again, bigger than myself. Will this stay? I want you to stay. No, it's not gonna stay. I just have to stay very still. Never mind. But anyway, if I could build something that goes farther than myself, whether it be just for authentic self-expression and really losing myself in that and just running with MotoSaad, or whatever happens, you know, that's really why I started MotoSaad. I started MotoSaad to give myself an outlet. And I think that, you know, making videos, I'm learning. You know, I'm a super beginner at, you know, Adobe Premiere, super beginner at YouTube. You know, I have no clue. Believe it or not, guys, I have no clue what I'm doing. But I'm having a lot of fun, having no idea what I'm doing. And that's really what it comes down to. You know, I'm just having fun doing this. And that's what MotoSaad is all about. You know, I think, you know, right now, in this current stage of MotoSaad, if MotoSaad stood for one thing, that is to be as confident as possible as you accept that you have no idea what you're doing, and just trusting that you can keep putting one foot in front of the other and that the ground will still be there. And putting that one foot in front of the other in the most authentic way possible. That's what MotoSaad, at least right now, is all about, because that's what I'm all about, and that's why I'm doing MotoSaad, just to find my most authentic self. And so I actually already have a few fans, and that's awesome. You know, that's crazy. I'm like, I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm just kind of throwing stuff out there, and there's some people who are like, yo, keep this up, bro, yeah. And I love you guys, man, just because for someone to be their most authentic self and then to receive feedback from the world that's like, yo, this is empowering, I really appreciate you doing this. Well, all I gotta do is just keep going. So I don't have much else to talk about here, but welcome to MotoSaad, and thank you for watching this and being here, and let's see where we end up. All right, let's go ride. Let's hit it. Screw it. Turning around. Please go, go, go. Nice. So yeah, let me know if there's any specific topics that you want me to talk about. Otherwise, I'm gonna just keep doing these. Is that semi gonna go? He's inching. He's inching. Thanks, man. Whoa. All right. Woo. Fall is actually my favorite time of year because, you know, when you see the trees start to like change colors, it's a death, right? The trees are dying, the leaves are dying, getting ready for winter, and it's a beautiful death. And that makes me question that maybe death isn't as spooky as we make it out to be, and that maybe it's a beautiful process. In the case of nature, I guess it is. It's getting kind of chilly. I got this fly racing jacket on, and it turns into a game of layers as the season starts changing. Just even though right now I just got a little t-shirt under here. kind of worried. This light often gets stale as heck and then doesn't change. What will I do? What will I do? So a lot of people might not know, this person's license plate, they have that little border around it, advertising some car dealership. And just so you know, that is like some free advertising. Like if you have your car border plate, whatever, still on your license plate, that is free advertising that somebody is taking advantage of. And so, something to be aware of, I guess. What is he riding? What is that? It's got some temp plates on it. Somebody let me know what bike that is. Lane positioning. So I see that people might want to come into this right lane and they might not see me, and thus I am all the way to the right. Lane positioning can indeed save your life. You know, the Royal Enfield GT650, while it's not a, you know, it's no Gixxer, it's no R6 or anything of that nature, but you can still have a lot of fun on these kinds of bikes. And, you know, I don't know if I would call this bike a beginner bike. You know, it's my third bike, and I still have plenty of fun on this. You know, I don't know if I'll be getting another bike anytime soon. I have wanted an R6 for a long time, but I'm being patient with myself. And it's one of those things where if I don't need it, then maybe I just won't go after it. But that is a... Are you going left, brother? That's a stale green. No 7th gear. I've seen this tendency though for a lot of people. A lot of people get very tunnel visioned around things they want. Like some people are like, bro, if I could just get that S1000, if I can just do, bro, if I can, and then it seems like they're like choking themselves out. And I just want to let you know, you don't need it. You don't need it. You want it. You don't need it. But don't act like you need it. You know, you need food, water, and shelter. Everything else is just profits, bro. So if you're somebody who has, you know, had a lot of goals in life and you find yourself consistently missing the target and you're just getting disappointed, well, one, expectations definitely fuel disappointment. If you have high expectations, you will also have a high degree of disappointment. Un momento, por favor. So yeah, if you have high expectations, you're gonna have a lot of disappointment. But also, a lot of the times, I'd like to believe that we don't get the things that we want in life because we aren't ready yet. You know, if you want $1 million, think about what you would do if you got that $1 million. You know, if you're like, oh man, I really need to make this $1 million, and then I'm like, what would you do if you got that $1 million? You're like, well, I'd be at the bar, I'd be talking to girls, you know, I'd be doing. It's like, bro, like, you're not somebody who deserves $1 million. You know, if you're, you know, on the flip side, if you were like, hey, I just want this $1 million so that I can feed all these people, I can do all these good things, I have this project in the works, then you might be somebody who's worth that $1 million. But the goal should not be the end. The goal should be the means. What does that mean? That means that you should not want outcomes. You should desire to live a life focused on the inputs. If you want a certain job, think in terms of, you know, what kind of person does it take to have that job? And what do I need to do in my current life to get that job? Right? Like, who do I need to become that is worthy of said outcome or of said goal? Because I guarantee you, no matter what kind of goal you have, nothing's as great as it seems. Nothing's as great as it seems. And with a lot of... When you get more stuff, you also get more responsibility. So if you want a motorcycle, you know, you have to ask, like, are you ready to do the maintenance required to not frickin' die? You know, do you know how to, at the very least, you know, do you know how to recognize a good bike versus a bad bike? Do you know how to recognize that your chain needs to be adjusted, that your tires need replacing? Do you know how to replace oil? You know, there's a lot of baggage that comes with a lot of good things. Nothing is ever as great as it seems. Well, that's about it for this one. If you watch to the end, like, subscribe, smash that like button. But for realsies, I appreciate all the support. And if you have anything that you want me to talk about or hear about, let me know. Hit me up. Peace.